We're in it. Wow. We're together. This is funny.
Hey.
Hi. We had a sleepover.
Yes, we did.
It was fun. We screamed at The Bachelor, and then we're annoyed that it was too calm. I don't know. I felt like the table wasn't shaken enough for me at the end of after the final rose, but it's also because I didn't talk really about Chris Harrison. So it's like,
I honestly feel like I disassociated for this entire episode. Like,
first of all, it didn't need to be 3 hours. If it was gonna be 3 hours, I needed 2 hours of after the final rose and
hard
1 hour of the show, because it wasn't much miso. It wasn't much to all that. Like, it just, I don't know. It was so boring, and I guess that the finale episodes are boring, right? The last one is usually kind of chill, but usually there's like some, I mean, oh fuck no, the finale with Matty and Hannah Ann in Peter's season was
not chill.
Lit.
Not
okay.
chill. Not chill one bit.
And I guess, well, Tayshia's finale was, no, Ben was doing his Ben stuff during Tayshia's season, so it wasn't like a true finale, but it was like good. It's still a little bit of like, drama, but it wasn't like,
I'm trying to think.
So, could you?
Even though it didn't end conventionally overall, I feel like the last time we got a conventional, like, end of the season was Ari saying goodbye to Lauren and then saying yes to Becca.
Yes.
Like,
and
actively
then
speaking to both women.
Well, no, because Hannah. Oh, yeah, no, because Hannah B. Jed. No, she dumped Peter. The alt to her place, right? Like the little proposal spot?
Maybe I just don't remember.
I mean, I think she did. Not Peter. It wasn't Peter. Peter was top 3.
Tyler.
Yes, she did.
Yes, she did.
She dumped him there too. Yeah. But the problem is we
Right.
haven't been getting the postseason. It's like we haven't been getting anybody staying together postseason, and even Ari, like, you know, did the whole breakup and had to get back with Becca and all that bullshit. Virgo man. I think he also is a Libra Venus though, if I remember possibly. I would have to really look at this chart. But it would be funny if he's a Libra Venus and he's doing the whole flip-floppy thing, because Matt is a Libra Venus and he of course also couldn't decide in the end. Like,
well, apparently there's a possibility that he'll be one of the men.
on
Katie's season. Because remember there were those rumors that Tyler and Katie had chemistry during
you
date
mean
with Matt.
Tyler? Okay, so wow, for a second I thought you were talking about Matt, and I was like,
No,
what?
no, Tyler. Sorry. Tyler
I
and
did
Katie.
hear about that. If Tyler showed up on Katie's season, I'm trying to. First of all, I love an Aquarius and a Capricorn and any type together, because generally that's like both two Saturn type people, and they can kind of both understand like how to understand the responsibilities each other has. But the problem is that Tyler is the most Aquarius man, and it's just so fucking all over the place. He's so annoying. But I think he's a Pisces Venus, which makes sense for him because he's so pretty, and people just think he's so pretty, and that's what
People eat
everyone's
him up.
right. And the Pisces Venus is exalted. Venus is like privilege, like it's just pretty privilege. It's like what the pretty effect, right? Whatever people talk about, and yeah, unfortunately, the pretty effect is all over with, you know, white Eurocentric features. But it's like Tyler, like, it's just annoying.
But I've fallen into that realm of like, the more that I learn about Tyler Cameron, the less attractive I find
Yes,
him.
no, absolutely. That's also
Every
like
time he
most
opens his
Aquarius
mouth,
men.
I'm like, damn.
Most Aquarius men, I'm at the point where I'm like into them for a minute. They're charming as shit, but then it's like halfway through you realize, wait a minute, you're just the devil's advocate guy. You're just the like, you're just the laughing and body shaming guy. You're just the sells merch with not my face on it guy. I dildo MJ. I can't.
Tyler Cameron's best friend was finishing up a historical season of The Bachelor last night, and the only thing that Tyler Cameron posted on his Instagram story was an ad for his new merch that was like centered around Matt James.
Yep, it's just like, why, buddy? Hang on, I'm about to find it on his story.
Imagine having like to clout chase someone
What
who you
is
gave
happening?
clout to.
What is happening with this dildo? It's a dildo. Not cool.
We don't like that.
Not okay.
I wouldn't buy it. I'm not a fan.
No. But all of it is
But how quirky. Like,
and
how
there's
cute.
a picture of him and Matt James sleeping next to each other, like they're like head on shoulder. You're good.
Yeah, and then they're like eating a burger or something, right? Or
Eating a
is that
burger,
him? I think
pizza.
so.
Yeah, it is. It's him and Matt.
Oh, Tyler, do less, okay?
Just like
Do like a little bit less.
have your own identity.
Facts.
Always got your back, my guy. Since
But is that true?
yeah, I was like, why weren't you posting and supporting him whenever he was going through this originally?
I'm just saying.
Anyway, Tyler. Anyway, promote your merch. Yeah, it's him and Matt eating food. Tyler is such a fucking pretty
I
boy.
wonder
It's annoying.
if the merch that he had by himself.
Myler,
was
hashtag
selling.
Myler. Look, just kiss
Oh.
already. Just kiss, okay?
There's
Like,
actually-
I know you want to.
okay.
Just give him a little kiss on the mouth.
There was a thing about this because the tweet that he used, like something about have never been in love or whatever, like then explain this. The woman who actually tweeted it was like, if you're gonna use my tweet, like why would you crop my name out? Like, why? Like he's like using a tweet that somebody else tweeted, but then he cropped their name out of it, didn't ask them for permission, but because he cropped their name out of it and it could be ambiguous, like it's fine or something. But like the capitalization's the same, like the characters are identical, like it is this woman's tweet.
Bro, feminism where?
The feminists we all deserve.
Feminists.
That's the feminist.
That's male
the
feminists
man we
for you.
deserve.
Will happily spread women's work, but I will not give credit to woman.
Or money.
Credit, money, fucking anything that would be worth a goddamn anything in this
Anything
fucking
that's
world right
worth
now.
anything, yeah.
Mm.
Like not even
Anyway.
fucking clout. God damn it.
Yeah. Anyway, did anything else happen in Bachelor Nation news this week?
Nothing that we're not going to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. Like other than what was happening with.
Just like the rumors, but those are.
Oh yeah, and it's funny as I feel like I'm like really here. Like Tyler Cameron being on Katie's season, did they have? I guess rumors that they had chemistry on what their date together on that.
Yeah, we didn't see any of it, but that was like the talk of the town was that people were like that's what was cut out, like that's what made Matt send her home. Like it's just like speculation. Like it's just I think it's just people talking.
Oh, so like the other women who are kind of like you didn't see everything. Maybe they're all mad that Katie was being portrayed as so for the right reasons when she was like there and met Tyler and was like Tyler. Okay, I could kind of see that, and I could also understand why that would be like annoying if I were the women, but it's also like stop acting like you all weren't there for fucking Tyler Cameron. Half of you at least, not Rachel apparently. It was only Matt James that she wanted to go on the show for. Let's be clear, guys.
That's why she's there.
Yes, for TRR. For the right reasons. The right reasons of all, aka there was no other man I wanted. You were the perfect black man for me.
My brain is going. I'm writing fan fiction right now. Like I'm like speculating a hard body right now. Because realistically, okay. Even if the women did sign up for Matt James, what did they know about Matt James? What did they think about him? What was their idea of who Matt James was? Because we didn't fucking know. Like I said last episode, we only ever saw him through the lens of Tyler Cameron. So what you really like is Tyler Cameron, right?
Right.
Am I going to?
No, you're not. It's like, okay, it's like you convince yourself so much that you're into someone else because you've seen them doing whatever, like you just see, like, I mean, Clarendale, like you're watching someone's social media, you're convincing yourself that you're gonna be into this person when in actuality your brain is like, I actually just am watching him on Tyler's stories.
It's like how women.
Like I'm on Tyler's stories and Matt's there, and he's also hot, right?
It's like how women want to marry professional athletes, and like it doesn't actually matter who the athlete is because like whatever they do will somehow play into the fantasy of like what this woman wants because she wants to marry an athlete.
Because it will always be like yes.
That's the only example I can think of, and I know that's like
but it's
terrible.
but it's also not accurate because in theory the Bachelor is an athlete. Professional sport, Bachelor, but for real, like the idea that knowing that marrying or getting to be a bachelor couple, you're set. You have C-level fame, depending on how
is
much
happening with Dale and Claire, and that's honestly what I did think, and kind of still do think about Dylan and Hannah. I think that they might like each other a lot, might love each other, but I think that they're more attracted to their mutually beneficial relationship than they are to each other.
Dylan and Hannah are like such fucking air signs that are just so used to each other at this point that they're just like, whatever, like it's fine, we're pretty together, and we can like, they're very pretty.
They're pretty together.
They're gorgeous both. And they're like always, you know, being like silly and cutesy and shit in each other's Instagram comments. Like they are peak Instagram couple. But they're boring. They're boring as fuck. They don't do anything.
But that comes
like
with
Dean and Caitlin.
couple.
I prefer Dean and Caitlin's Instagram presence because to me they are chill about each other, but when they do post about each other, like, oh my god, they posted this video this week of them making a snowman in Colorado. They were in Dean's hometown, and it was just like to the do you want to build a snowman, and it was really cute because it like you want to be annoyed because it's so cliche to use a song, but they're like building the snowman, and then they're both just like doing this, and then they run behind the snowman, and then like imagine if the snowman was here, they like kiss behind it, but you can't see them kiss. They just like go behind the snowman. It was really cute. And their Instagram presence, at least they're doing something. Like they're traveling. They're usually like on, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's been hard because pandemic, what are you going to do? But like they at least are just, I don't know, something about their content is more interesting to me than someone like Dean and, or Dylan and Hannah.
Well, because they happen to be a couple who are producing good content. Their content is not that they are a couple.
Yes, they are a good couple that produces good content separately. Agreed.
It's like, what's that?
And Dylan definitely has. Dylan is who? What are you? Who are you? What are you doing? What is Hannah even doing other than modeling Pretty Little Thing and Revolve?
All right, this is kind of cute.
Yeah, are you watching it? Yeah, it's really cute. Wait, they put ski sticks, ski thingies as the arms. And they wait for it, and they do their little kiss vibe, and they have a mask as the mouth for the snowman.
The kiss I did not like.
Oh,
the kiss was a step too far. It was cliche and like corny, but still endearing.
Yes.
The kiss was like the one step extra. Where I'm like, you.
Oh, I love the kiss.
You had me in the first half. I'm not gonna lie.
But also, isn't this when we figured out too? Or this is. It's funny to think about Dean and Kaylin. I think about them more now because we had that moment of like, wait, they're not following each other on Instagram.
I was convinced that they were broken up.
But they don't, and it makes me think, and it's part of me just wonders if they're those people. Another air sign wait a minute. I just realized we're talking about a Gemini and an Aquarius, two separate couples. Hannah is an Aquarius and Dylan is a Gemini. Dean is an Aquarius and Caitlin is a Gemini. So we're talking about two separate air signs. Okay, wait, perfect example. Gemini and Aquarius, very interesting people, but can also be total fucking airheads. So it's like Dylan and Hannah are just like the pretty, like, I'm not doing anything, I'm just like speaking very la la la. But we have the interesting people, Dean and Kaylin. I wonder, wow, I'm mind blown by that thought right now. I love when astrology just like does astrology and we're not even just trying, and I'm just like talking about these two, comparing these people. I'm like, wait a minute.
It just makes
it's the same.
Much sense.
Wow.
Right.
Anyway, appreciate them, and I don't know why we got on that tangent, but who cares? Because we're bored about the next episode that we have to talk about, which is this finale. And
I'm ready to talk about
yeah, let's go. I mean, what we started with. Actually, I should have my laptop. Oh, I have like no notes after the final rose, so we're leaning on you. But I do remember it starts with what? Michelle's first.
So the first thing we have to note, this would be perfect. We have Matt, Mom, and John all talking.
That's right.
It's snowing. We get some B-roll.
Lovely snow. The snow was so pretty. It was that fat, wet snow that you like. Shit to be outside in. Sucks for Matt to have to walk around in that B-roll, But
this is like our very good jumping off point, because this is when he's talking to his mom, and during this conversation with his mom and John is when he's like hopeful.
Yes.
And he's excited. And even John says, like, I've never seen you so animated.
Yeah.
Or his mom says, like, I've never seen you so animated. I've never seen you so expressive and happy.
Wow.
But that doesn't last.
And Matt's like, not even that okay.
Also,
Yeah.
Matt calls John money, and I love it. I made a note. That's actually something that I picked up in my rewatch this morning, where he was like, what's that money?
Wow, that
And
makes
I'm really
me wonder
into it.
about what his second house is doing and if John has any of his planets falling in his second house. So, I spoke briefly to John the Scorpio.
I'm in love with him.
I spoke briefly with him via DMs, and he told me his big three, and I asked him, obviously, for Matt's big three, and he was like, oh yeah, he's a Sagittarius moon, and I remember I did his chart once, I can't remember his birth time, and I was literally in my mind, I was screaming, because it's like, I knew he was a Sag moon, I got it, I figured that part out, like, we're good, but thank you for the confirmation, but I still don't have the rising sign. I had been like talking to John a little bit, so I'm trying to maybe see if we'll get it eventually. Hoping, crossing my fingers, because John is into it. He's into astrology. He posts on his his Instagram is very strange. It's a classic Scorpio Instagram, like pictures with no captions, nothing really even descriptive. It's very hard to describe what his Instagram vibe is, but he does have a post that describes the 12 astrological houses. And I immediately saw that and was like, oh, hell yeah, you're good at it. So he told me, he was like, I got a stellium here and here and here. And I was trying to like map that out in my brain. But anyway, that being said, if he calls his brother money, I wonder if there's like one of the like money planets, like Venus or Saturn, or if the second house, if like his sun falls in the second, like if Scorpio second, and potentially Libra rising would be the Scorpio second, which was one of my early guesses. Wow, well, TBD. I'll have to think about this. I also have to consult. I want to consult my friend Emily. I feel like she'll have a good opinion on this. Oh my god, yeah, we don't have the board.
We have pictures of the board.
That's okay, but that's funny. For our final game, we don't get to play. For our final, I know, we'll do it. It's okay. We'll do it.
It'll be a big Instagram post reveal.
Yeah, God, I really hope we get it, because I will still, like, I'm the kind of person, like, the season might end, but I will always want to know Matt's birth time. So even if, like, months after the show's over,
We've started playing a game. We must see it through.
yes, but if I feel like now that
There's no quitting here.
no backing down, no quitting. But it's also the fact of like, I'm still like, I would still love to know Hannah Brown's birth time. I'd still love to know Nick Miles' birth time. Like all these people who kind of aren't really, and I just want to know, because then their season to me gives me more context. Like I get to just,
I bet he'd tell you.
Matt James?
No.
John?
Actually, maybe, well,
Matt?
maybe if we directly ask Matt, because we've been putting it in our stories and shit, but I'm saying, what if you,
I'm down to directly DM him and be like, I was talking to your brother.
do that, but I think if you message Nick, I think if you DM Nick.
Oh,
he'll tell you
Nick
for sure.
might.
Nick
Yeah.
would love the attention. Nick would be like, oh, you want to talk about me?
He's
on your
probably a
podcast?
fucking Leo rising or some dumb shit. Maybe Scorpio. Honestly, I could see him being a Scorpio
I
rising
think he's a psycho.
with his Libra sun on the 11th. Yeah. Oh god. Anyway, whatever. So back to this episode. Back to John and Matt. Matt calls him money. Precious.
This is when Michelle comes, and this is my favorite John moment, because this is when John is like, I'm just gonna go by vibes. I'm gonna go by body language.
I love a Scorpio. By the way, his big three is John's big three is a Scorpio sun, Cancer moon, Sagittarius rising. Because of course you gotta have the Sagittarius rising to the Sagittarius sun brother. Just great. But so yes, great. Love that he's going to go off vibes. Michelle has great vibes. We know this.
Yes. They do like their classic small talk. They're always like, how are you?
How are you?
I'm an elementary school teacher. Patty starts crying immediately.
Yeah, well, it's like the second, I remember this, the second Michelle mentions that, like, it's like, oh yeah, Matt said so much about you. She's just like, starts crying. This woman loves her boys.
I made 3 different notes that she's obsessed with him.
Like, obsessed. They are everything to her, which now makes sense as to why Matt is so, like, heart eyes over his mom, which like okay,
he got that loving.
I can't relate, but
yeah, you can tell he just like fucking idolizes her. He's like, that is a. He looks at his mom like the ideal woman, which is why I'm actually not terribly shocked about how this episode ends. Now that I'm thinking about like how much he fucking. Wait, did we ever just guess Cancer Moon or Cancer Rising?
I really could see her being a Cancer Rising, like hardcore. She is. Oh, Matt. Well, Matt, I also could see being a Cancer Rising. Both of them.
Because now that I'm thinking about his,
because they look alike. He looks like her.
But also, we talked about the fact that they have this weird. No, we have to talk about when we get there. I can't spoil it yet. I can't spoil the moment.
Okay.
But so they kind of have their small talk. John pulls Michelle away, and that's when he asks those two questions that he asks Rachel as well, almost identically, and just like in the reverse order.
Yeah, like they were super. It's like always pretty obvious that the families of the lead, and really even the families of the players, were pretty coached by producers. Like, I need you to ask these questions at some point. And so no matter what, like, I'm sure, obviously, we had conversation that was not those two questions. I'm sure there was so much else that was filmed, absolutely. All this stuff. But they don't obviously show it to us. So because, well, it's not relevant
to theirs,
to what ABC wants to show us, but it is relevant like to us. And so I think that exactly, like, they only stuck in their producer questions. They didn't get to keep in all the like real conversations I bet these people had.
I'm sure.
Especially Michelle with the family too, like thinking about just the kind of conversation she had with Matt about teaching and about like all of the way she speaks to him is very just eloquent. She's got, oh God, speaking of Cancer Risings, if Michelle's not a Cancer Rising, I'd be shocked because I'm pretty convinced, so she's a Gemini Sun, Sagittarius Moon, but she has a Cancer Mercury, and obviously her Cancer Mercury rules her Gemini Sun because Gemini's ruled by Mercury, so those two kind of answer to each other, but I feel like her Cancer Mercury has to be in the first house because the first house is where Mercury, the planet, regardless of the sign it's in, Mercury, the planet, likes to be the first house. So if you have Mercury in the same sign as your rising sign, Mercury is pleased, right? So that being said, Mercury is able to do their job well by speaking clearly, like being able to vocalize who you are, because the first house is all about like yourself, who you are, and just like the one, like the house of just you. So with Mercury there, you're able to communicate yourself, communicate what you need, communicate with others. And I just think Michelle has it on lock. Like, and that Cancer Rising would be so, oh my God, a Cancer Rising Gemini Sun teacher.
Michelle
makes sense. And, oh my God, if she has a Gemini Sun in the 12th house, she has been all, remember the, at Hometowns when we had the, when they were like, yeah, and that thing that happened to you 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And we didn't know what it was, and we still don't fucking know. Well, we'll probably find out. Find out. But either way.
It makes sense because one of the questions that John does ask Michelle is, when was your last relationship? Or like, what was the deal with your last relationship? And she mentions that like they were together for a long time, but it should have ended a long time ago. And they finally split up in January, which means that something would have had to have happened during her relationship with whoever that is.
Yeah.
2 years ago would have been within the timeline of her dating whoever that is.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, I have a feeling it's related. Obviously I don't know, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was related.
Either way, we don't know about it, and the 12th house is all about those secrets.
But I wish we did know about it. I wish ABC would have.
I'm sure we'll find out.
Well, I actually, now that I'm saying that, I remember when we talked about this on the episode that my thought behind it was that they did talk about it and it was edited out. That way they could include it in her narrative and like tell her story as the lead from. That's
what I think too, but it's like it's still the portrayal of us not seeing. But anyway, Cancer Rising will make some sense. She's just so soothing. And every Cancer Rising I know is just soothing. They know how to be like good. But anyway, Michelle
talks to Patty alone And that's when she basically says, or Patty reaffirms everything that Matt has told us. The only shit that Matt has told us about how he gravitates towards family with large families, like stable families, and she feels guilty and all that kind of stuff. And everyone likes Michelle. Shocker. She's
hard
incredible.
not to. She's amazing. Yeah. Like, just amazing. Fucking brilliant, smart, eloquent, beautiful. How could you not love Michelle? God, she's really a wonderful cast. Mm-hmm. Like, and it's a wild to think about all that. And she was like an athlete. It's like she's that kind of that like, wow, you just really are got a leg in every corner, right? Like, it's just
she's perfect.
Anyway,
so we dive into Rachel.
Yeah, so Michelle, Rachel. Yeah, the way they set these up. Yeah, they set these up with instead of. Like, they kind of used to do it with, like, the night portion was after the family meetup. I thought. It's not usually back-to-back, like, 2 days of family and then they have the night stuff. I thought it was always, like, at least the way they showed it to us, like, on film. Like, it doesn't matter how they film it, but, like, the way it's presented to us, it's always this, like, day portion with the family, night is the day date. And the night portion is the dinner time date.
I actually, now that we're bringing this up, I truly cannot remember this episode of, like, I remember the episodes of the other seasons, but, like, not the format, because I think you're right. Like, I think it's always been like, meet the family in the day, and then you have the date, and then you meet the family in the day, and then
there's usually a one final day date before the proposal or something. I don't know, fuck. It's hard to remember, but I always feel like I can't. This format seemed weird, but either way.
Yeah,
maybe it's quarantine too.
Probably. I mean, that's definitely a big factor. But I feel like it's probably staged that way because, like, Matt wouldn't have been unsure of himself had he not spoken to his mom again. Because he left that first one, like, feeling super optimistic, and his mom was happy for him and whatever. And it's not until his conversation with his mom after his mom talks to Rachel that he starts to spiral.
God. Matt, I also wonder how much, I feel like I was talking about this with someone else, but I almost wonder how much of the, like, Rachel, like, I don't know, I wonder what the complexity of the white mom, black son situation is interesting. Oh, also we forgot to mention during Rachel's date, not during Rachel, during Michelle's date, when Matt was talking to his mom, he was fully, like, rubbing her thigh. Like,
I said we talk about it and we didn't talk about
like,
it.
Right? Like, this, it was like, and it was like his whole hand. It was the same movements he does with the women that we're watching. Like, seriously, like, I'm trying to think of other dates where he's been able to feel up women's legs, and it's just like.
In all of them, that's like one of his moves, but it clearly is just one of his moves.
And, like, I really think this Cancer rising is possible because Cancer risings are mama's boys. They love their mommies.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
And I think Cancer placements struggle with Cancer men placements struggle with kind of detaching from their moms and not trying to just replace their mom with a girlfriend, like, or put their girlfriend in mom role. Like, that's the classic situation. But I'm trying to think of the other way, like Cancer. So if he's a Cancer rising, his Virgo Jupiter would be in the 3rd house, which could signify a positive relationship to siblings. Scorpio would be the 4th house. Ooh, TBH. No, not Scorpio, 4th house. Cancer, what's square Cancer? Libra, 4th house. Ruled by Venus. He has Venus there. His mom loves his mama. Oh, God. Okay. Had to consider. But anyway, so he's just rubbing his mom's leg, and it was a little weird.
Too much.
It was a lot. We both were screaming during it. Literally actively screaming. We were stressed that it was happening.
I didn't like it. Not a bit.
Don't like it. So, alright. But now, yeah, with Rachel's date, it was...
Did you catch that he just flat out tells her that he's fallen in love with her?
He had told her that multiple times.
But, like, just flat out said it, like, in those words, like, I'm falling in love with you. Or, like, I've fallen in love with you. Like, definitively.
Fallen? He said fallen in love with you?
He said it, like, sure thing. Like, it was when they were standing outside and he was getting ready to bring her in. And he's like, they just need... Yeah, because he's like, just be yourself. They need to get to know the you that I've fallen in love with.
Wow.
Or something like that. But that was the context.
It's, you know, I've fallen in love with, or I'm falling in love with.
No. He definitely said
Fallen, past tense.
Only part of that sentence that I'm unsure about is what the lead up to that I've fallen in love with.
Wow. Well, we should have been. Y'all should have known.
And I was just like, damn, okay. Anyway. And then he praises that really weird manipulation. He's like, and he doesn't realize that he's doing it, but he like praises how they bonded and like.
Oh, the near death, yes.
And
yeah.
No, just like her treatment, like her on that date being able to be like, I'm upset and we need to talk about it. He was like, I love that she did that, and I was like, okay.
Well.
Yeah.
Great.
I mean, that was really it, though. She talks to John, and it's the same type of questions. Last relationship, she's only had 2 serious ones, and it just showcases how young she is and how inexperienced she is. That
yeah, she literally was like, I had a serious boyfriend in high school, and I'm like, oof.
And
we're
then
talking about high
college.
school.
I don't consider my high school boyfriends serious boyfriends. Period.
Nope. And it's funny because I can recognize them as serious at the time, but I also wouldn't describe them as my serious relationships now as an adult. Like I wouldn't be sitting here like, yeah, my like boyfriend at 16 was this. Like I can definitely recognize where dating patterns. I can like look at those relationships as like something that that has shaped me, but
it's like
not where I'm sitting there like, so my recent serious relationships were high school and college. Like
my shortest relationship in high school was 9 months, and that's serious by high school standards.
Yes.
Was that ever a serious boyfriend of mine? No. Was I ever gonna marry that kid? Fuck no.
Literally never. Never did I think I was gonna marry any of my high school boyfriends. I was just trying to have sex.
And this is also where
and I didn't. Fuck those high school boyfriends. And I didn't.
Get it, baby.
That's what happens when you live in Texas, okay? Everyone's religious. Ew. Anyway.
It's like you gained my composure after that. What's that? This is where when Pat and Matty are.
Pat and Matty! Might as well be. I mean, it literally could be because I'm sure her name is Patricia.
Yeah.
Pat and Matty. Great.
Pat and Matty.
That should be the episode title.
Pat and Matty. Done. This is when Matt says, because Patty brings up, like his mom is like, well, like, how do you know about Rachel? Like, whatever she asks him. And he's like,
the parents are always, the family is always a little stranger about the second one because they're so happy to meet the first one.
Right.
Because it's like, oh my god, it's like meeting any other girlfriend of my son, and then you meet the second one and you're like,
if they don't
I like that other girl, and like, I don't know. And it's not even that they didn't like Rachel, it's just that awkward feeling of not sure how to interact with this person when you've already interacted the same with another person.
If the second person doesn't automatically exceed the expectations, then they have to live up to the expectation.
Yeah.
So if you don't immediately like hit it out of the park, then like you're not in a good position being the second. But this is when Matt literally says to her, like in quotations, and it's just like in the little things, how she carries herself. It's got to be foreshadowing of how she's going to handle the more important things. Not just like oh. And then the last thing that we see from Rachel meeting Patty is when they talk about the fact that Rachel was a God-fearing Christian and she felt so much.
Yes, I forgot. And it was funny to think about how this moment was like the culmination of such a long-term game for Rachel. She was able to cry on the first episode about prayer, and she is referencing that with the mother on the last episode. Like that was a smart move, right? Getting those crocodile tears out, we were on it.
But the struggle is that, and we'll get to it when we get to the after the final rose portion, but like every good play or like every seemingly well calculated move just makes me not believe, like now I believe that everything she's doing is super calculated.
Yeah.
So I'm like less inclined to believe her, but we will get there because she says some shit that me and everyone on fucking Twitter was like, ma'am, we're not letting you off that easy. Okay. But then this is when Patty says that shit about love is not enough. Love is not an end-all, be-all.
Which, so, let me real quick. So, Patty, with her birthday, Patty's birthday. Patty, what the fuck? Well, really more like, Matty, what the fuck, Matt? He posted 2 separate birthday posts for his mom on his Instagram, one of which is, they're both 2 different days. They're obviously 1 day apart. But my guess is it's the March 27th date because of the captioning, the specific caption that he uses is like, give love for my mom on her birthday. Whereas the other one is a more vague, happy dinner, or happy birthday, and it was like a dinner, it seems like a birthday dinner post.
Like the birthday could fall on a Sunday.
Right, but they were celebrating it, yes. So, but my thought too with that is being able to look at the astrology, right? Because she's an Aries no matter what. But if she's the 27th, she would be a Virgo moon, and if she's the 26th, she'd be a Leo moon. And I see Virgo moon in this moment more than I see Leo moon. Leo moon, I mean, the show has a Leo moon, like The Bachelor. Like, Leo moons are much more interested in romance and like the idea of a big grand gesture of romance and all that stuff. She's sitting here like, sometimes love is not enough. And it's not the only thing. Like, that's such a fucking Earth moon. That's such a Virgo moon vibe. Like, not even Virgo, but just Earth moon. Like, that's not a Leo moon response, especially with an Aries, because Aries are very, like, fucking get to the point. Like, they are very on it. But I just think that she's got the Virgo moon. Anyway, that being said, this moment was very Virgo moon. She's like, you better look at this closely, see every detail, critique it all.
I just feel so bad because he did seem so sure until she pointed it out, and it's like in any scenario people can sit there and they can like point out the bad ifs.
Yeah.
You know? And like you can choose, like if you are confident enough or like positive enough about the relationship, like okay, like I take your criticism and that's fine. But if the fact that he started spiraling like this shows that he had the doubts himself and they just like plucked it out of him.
I completely agree. No, I mean, I think that was it. So,
which is the point, I guess. Like,
remember, everybody take a moment real quick. And if new listeners, if you're listening to us right now and you haven't listened, everyone just go on back. Early episodes, like either the first episode about meeting the women and talking about Matt, or the first episode in general. I said it, someone said it, one of us said it. I think I was the one saying it. His Sagittarius self, that Libra, I was like, I did not think he was going to leave this with someone. Like, I was just like, I don't know, like, will he even make it?
Yeah, that was you.
Like, will he even get to the end of this? Like, will this even get to happen? Like, he's such a fucking, like, Sagittarius, Libra men especially get to be such fucking flakes. And I just think that it's fascinating that despite what we knew to be the ending, what we knew he was gonna pick, who was gonna pick and all that, it's just interesting that it ended in the way it did. Like, he didn't really pick her, like he still didn't even give her a ring. It's just that he picked her in theory, you know what I mean? Like, he still didn't do it. Like, he still didn't propose, you know?
Well, yeah, the verbiage
he didn't get down on one knee.
The verbiage that he used essentially just like extended the process.
Yeah, we're just gonna keep dating in the secrets, and then all your secrets are gonna come out, and there it goes.
We're gonna extend the season, but just not film it.
Yep. And yeah, gosh. So anyway, Rachel states whatever, the mom stuff's done, whatever, and then Michelle, it's Michelle's night portion next, right?
Yeah, so we get like Matt spiraling and like his conversation with Chris Harrison, which honestly...
Oh yeah, when Chris Harrison has 12 trillion lines on his forehead and is talking about how there's a lot to unpack.
The only thing that I can think of to say about this conversation is that it happened. Like, it wasn't helpful. Nothing of value came from it. It was just like a part of the document. Like, it's just like a thing that happened in the episode.
Yeah.
Right? But then, yeah, Matt and Michelle is the next thing. They get their date.
Yes, the nighttime date. Oh no, I was also looking at, I've been on DMs, my bad, because I'm not even going to say it because I want to talk about it later, but we have...
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know, we're going to talk about it. We'll talk about it later. But
right.
anyway, Pod stuff. Where were we? Michelle's nighttime date. Michelle's nighttime date, and it's, I mean, a bummer.
We'll get there fucking repelling.
Oh, that's right.
I
The
think
daytime,
that's-
nighttime date, repelling.
That something is wrong with him in the sense that, like, I'm not convinced that the producers or Matt are not trying to, like, actively harm one of these women.
Oh my god, right? Like, all these things that they're doing, it's just like,
I know they're safe and
Please relax.
sanctioned, and I know there's equipment, but like we talked about last night while it was airing, like there are rope courses at Nemacolin. Like, why couldn't they
there's
do
a
something
rope
fun?
course on the property.
They don't need to rappel down a 5
We haven't even seen it.
story building.
Ugh.
Like,
Like,
it was
they,
5 stories with a basement, so it was lifted, like on a lifted foundation. So that was like a high ass building.
yeah.
And for what? To go
This
sit
is
on
about
a
the
love
height
seat?
of this building.
To go sit on a love seat on a helicopter pad?
To climb down the roof, like, it made, why? It doesn't make any sense. And it's fine, cool, looks interesting, but
Someone pointed out that Rachel got like heavy budget dates, and I can't unsee it.
well, Rachel also got, other than her skydiving, Rachel,
Well, she had to rent the sports car.
I was gonna say Rachel got the safest dates.
She got the pretty woman date.
Yes.
Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So that was the day portion. It's fucking stupid. But
They
you
were
can
sweet.
tell that.
Yeah, she's trying to talk about, well, I'm trying to remember what she was talking about on the date. When they were sitting outside, it was, I remember it being very, like, she is just too well spoken for him. Like,
I personally,
she's
I
so
didn't
smart.
have any notes
I love
of the
listening to her.
conversation because it was just written all over his face that he was gonna dump her. And then they aired we don't know the order of filming obviously, but they aired an ITM interview directly after this date while they were like walking back into the building, where Matt says in the ITM that this is the last time he's gonna see her before the final rose, which means that he's not gonna be proposing
Yeah.
when the proposal day comes. Like, he knows that he's saying goodbye to her this evening.
Oh, well, he was already starting to say, like, I'm thinking, I have doubts, like, I have to make sure today squashes these doubts or whatever, and it's like, okay.
And yet, on this night portion, someone still allowed her to make those fucking Mr. and Mrs. James jerseys.
The producers are so goddamn dirty, I swear. Anymore.
And this is cute, but like, you know he's gonna dump her. These are about to go in the trash.
Yeah.
Come on.
Not cool. Not cool. Well, it's also probably because Michelle wanted those things or something and was like,
I know.
what if I gave him that?
I know, and they can't be like,
No,
You
we shouldn't let you give him a gift.
I know. I just,
Maybe in that moment they were thinking that he would be a normal bachelor and at least save her for the altar.
maybe they were thinking the jerseys would sway him.
That too.
World
could've
changing
hoped.
warriors.
We could have hoped.
That's what they said. They said world changing warriors.
Matt, yeah, is real world changing.
I'm down for those hydroponic gardens, so that's fucking cool.
Lit.
That's
Super.
true.
Yeah.
She's clearly very blindsided when he dumps her.
Yeah, he immediately brings up that it's not, like, he says he can't get there with her, that he's not going to be able to get to that moment of love, that
But no, not even yet, because this is when he's like, I don't know. I don't know. And she has to sit up and be like, you need to just fucking tell me what
yes,
you want.
like, please be honest with me right now. Like, be
She's like,
direct.
tell me how you actually feel. Like, however you feel is fine. However you feel is how you feel. But like, just shut the fuck up and tell me exactly how you
Which makes
feel.
sense. He's a Sagittarius Mercury.
That's what I was thinking while I was watching it. I was like, I know you.
His Sagittarius Mercury. Also, I just realized last night while watching, Matt has a natal Mercury retrograde. He was literally born during a Mercury retrograde. So his normal state of being is what we experience as Mercury retrograde when it is happening. You know what I mean? So if anybody wants to know if they are born with any planetary retrogrades, it is common for us to be born with something retrograde because outer planets go retrograde at least once a year. So whatever. Anyway, look up astro.com, your chart on astro.com, and you'll be able to see the little R. If you see a little R by the planets, that's what it means. Retrograde. Matt, natal Mercury retrograde, cannot form sentences, just blah, 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 blah. I had another friend text me last night watching the finale who doesn't usually watch, or hasn't been watching the season very much, but was literally like, Matt is a sim, I cannot understand what he's saying. And I'm like, yes.
And then we sat here and spoke in Simlish.
Yeah.
Because why wouldn't we do
Because
that?
we are Gemini risings, we are bilingual. Dag. Okay, anyway. So Matt, dumps her. She is blindsided. She is upset. She is crying. He is crying. This is when
she cries alone in a dark corner, and then he sits on a fucking curb with Chris Harrison.
Like, they don't even talk, like, and this is what she was talking about after the final rose, is she was literally looking for a way to talk to him for 2 more minutes after the sobbing, but they said no!
I also don't really know what, we know that there's more to the conversation than what we saw aired.
Yes, always, always.
But
this is where I'm at right now.
To be totally honest, I would have felt like what he said that we saw was closure. If we had like had that conversation, I'd have been like, okay, I understand.
All right, I understand. You have to dump me now because this is the game.
Because you don't like me enough, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what more there could be to that. Like, I understand that everyone feels differently, but like for me, if that was my breakup, I would have been like, it sucks. But it is very clear what's happening here. Even if you're not being clear with what you're saying, like, it is clear what's happening here.
Yeah. And if anything too, it's like the conversation you can have is kind of the classic, like, well, why? Like, you know, what happened? What's different? There's never an answer. I like the other girl better than you. That's the answer.
That's how it fucking crumbled, man.
That's what the cookie producer manipulation crumbled into. Me picking the racist. So then the next day is a long drama of nothing. Like, nothing happens.
Hey, Rach.
Oh my god. Hey, Rach.
Oh, that's so fun.
So, I know you'd be getting ready for your date.
Oh my god.
But instead, what if you dated me?
Surprise.
Surprise! I'm your date. No, so yeah, Chris Harrison is creepy. Is creepy. Well, what makes this creepy to me is that Lauren Zima is young, in her 30s, and anyway. So that being said, Chris Harrison and his 12 million forehead lines that they have no longer decided to retouch off of his face in post-production. They tell her. Forehead lines. They tell her
they are speaking.
I mean, they might as well have been. They were deep. They were deep. But you know, could tell. So it's funny to see when people get their wrinkles, because obviously human beings get wrinkles, but especially problematic white men like Chris Harrison, they get wrinkles quickly. But it's funny to see how wrinkles form in people's faces, because you can always tell if they like have wrinkles because they smile a lot, or if they're like doing a furrowed brow a lot because you get the center line. But same, me too. But Chris Harrison, you can tell, has the line, the eyebrow up, the lines for this way because of the show. Literally, think about how many times he makes that face in the show. Well, like his eyebrows up. Well, what do you feel about this?
That face. God damn it.
Because his face, it's so funny. So he's always just in the permanent like eyebrows up surprise. So now his lines are so severe on his forehead. But anyway, so he tells Rachel that Matt is feeling confused and does not want to see her today. They torture this girl. Like, torture. I'm not gonna, like, Rachel on her own shit is shit, but on the show, like, in this moment, like, this was pure torture, like, for no reason, especially because they knew she was at least gonna get to walk up to him at the proposal. Like, they made it seem like he was gonna send her home immediately or some shit.
Yeah, he worded that intentionally to like stress her out, and it was really shady and shitty.
It was not cool.
And but while he's doing this, Matt's talking to Neil Lane.
Exactly, like Matt's getting the ring, like, and decent one at that.
He doesn't even. Well, does he get a ring?
He doesn't even get to use it. Well, he has a ring.
He took it.
Yeah, he says he had in his hand. He had in his hand a little ITM and was like, I mean, I got a ring. I would hate to be Rachel. I mean, no matter what, after the final, Rachel, there's a lot of shit she's got to deal with now post show. But
she's gonna
see this,
and she's never gonna watch it.
Oh,
she's gonna do it like Lauren Londike did, and like never watch the breakup with Becca, even though she should have, because it's interesting to see who your husband is.
Yep.
But I don't think Rachel's ever
watched the breakup with Becca, because those are the kinds. It's like because you can't confront people you love being shitty.
No, her reasoning was like, our love story is our love story. Like, I know our love story the way that it is. I don't need to see.
I don't need to see him being a dick to another woman on national television.
Even though he really was.
Even though because he loves me. He loved me that whole time. I mean, that whole shit, oh God. I would love, that's an off-season topic I'd love to talk about. I want to know the astrology of that moment, because I feel like, I bet there was some messy transits happening then.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if Venus is retrograde. Woo! Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Actually, it might have been. Now that I'm thinking back to it, there was a Scorpio Venus retrograde in like 2017. That was about Becca. That was about Ari's season.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, I feel like his season was 2018 because Pete's was 2020, and between Ari and Pete was it was Colton. Yeah, Colton was 2018 or no 2019. Pete was 2020. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I think I just figured it out already that there was Venus retrograde happened during filming of Ari's season. In Scorpio, no less. Actually, he might be a Scorpio Venus because he's a Virgo sun. Woo! Okay, that's a later rabbit hole. Anyway, Matt doesn't see Rachel. Rachel freaks out. They just have boring ass conversations, like talk. But yeah, he's with Neil Lane.
And then the next thing that we know, and it's just the same, this is why I'm so annoyed, because if we have these opportunities to have like pretty in-depth conversations, but we keep having the same fucking conversation every time.
Every
and, like,
time.
I just want something new, god damn it. But yeah, and then it's the shittiest editing ever because we literally cut to Rachel getting ready and walking to the proposal.
Yep.
Or the lack thereof.
to no proposal.
Literally.
She looks really nice. I liked her dress. I loved that color on her. I did not like the sequins.
Y'all should have been here. We were sitting here on this couch like, I hate that she looks so good.
Yeah, we were really mad.
I wish she didn't look that
We
great.
were really mad the entire time watching her just be pretty. She's such a pretty crier too, just like Brie.
Those
like
fucking eyes.
She's got those those Pisces blue eyes, you know? She's just like, and she's really got the pout right. Like she just knows how to be pretty and sad.
She's got that like that round face, that cheruby face.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, her dress was the color was just A+ on her. Whatever. But it's also because she's got that Snow White
But
look.
the earrings were a bit much. I'll give her that. Or I'll
Yes.
take that from her.
Earrings were
a
too
bit
much. We didn't need that much earring for the sparkle dress. You know, we're fine. Go bare on the ears. You're good.
It's like you never do a busy eye and a busy lip, unless you're like
Right.
trying to be very
busy
expressive.
on purpose. So we get to the proposal, and does Rachel say anything interesting first?
Yeah, she basically does what I viewed as like a last ditch effort where like if I think he might possibly dump me, so let me do everything I can
Right.
and say everything I can right now in case he is thinking about dumping me, that maybe he won't dump me.
Yeah.
Just the I'm going to love you forever, I love you always. The most cliche, if you were to Google like standard wedding vow, that's what you find. Whatever Rachel said.
Yeah. Yeah.
I promise.
Well, she was definitely, and also the standard, you know, finale woman speech where you have to stand there and be like, I don't know that you haven't picked another woman yet. I don't know that Michelle is gone. I don't know all these things. So I'm
Plus,
just
after
gonna...
that meeting with Chris, she's got to be panicking.
Yeah, she's full panic. So Matt then kind of starts going down this rabbit hole of conversation about how essentially he's not going to propose to her because he doesn't want to do to her what his dad did to his mom, which
I don't know. I don't get it, but
it's weird because, like, okay, he was talking about how when he was getting the ring, and in the ITM about the ring, he was talking about how his mom didn't get a ring from his dad, and that was something that he didn't give to her. And so he's gonna just like go and not give the ring to Rachel. Like, I don't know. I just think that if your only reason for proposing or not proposing is daddy issues, like, we need to work on some things, Matt. Like, his daddy issues run deep. And
no, Matt needs therapy.
It's not.
And they
were like, well, his daddy and his mommy issues too. Because I think he has mommy issues in other ways. The two attached to mom because of single mom life. And anyway.
That's really all I have for the actual finale.
Yeah, the proposal was whatever. And Matt, but he eventually says that he loves Rachel. Rachel immediately smiles and was like, okay, wait. But yeah, so they hug, she gets the rose, they are cute in their little post-interview thing together, and then that's it. And then we get Emmanuel Acho walking on stage for after the final rose. And this is where the real show begins. Sort of. Yeah. It was still very Bachelor produced. And there was a lot of hype for this about like Emmanuel Acho being so great, and like, which he was. Emmanuel was fucking awesome. But he was fucking awesome within the constraints of the Bachelor producers.
You can only do so much with what you're given.
And his script was still like, it was Chris Harrison's script, but Emmanuel was able to he was able to ask the questions that Chris Harrison can't ask. He was able to make connections that Chris Harrison wouldn't be able to make in his little moments of improv and like replying to these questions and shit in the interview moment. But all the questions he asked, for the most part, or at least the questions that we saw, like, were given, were so, like, just, like, surface. It felt, and there were moments, well, okay, how about this? Watching us people who've been involved in all this stuff and been paying attention to everything, who are actively working to be anti-racist, all these things, all of everything that was talked about on TV was like level 1 of the uncomfortable, because you know what I mean, because they kept saying the word uncomfortable, it was all uncomfortable. But I'm watching it and I'm like, well, I mean, this isn't that uncomfortable, but for Rachel it probably was, and for mainstream Bachelor white audience, I'm sure this was uncomfortable.
Yeah, with the sentiment of like, it didn't seem like they were that uncomfortable. Like it doesn't help that I don't know why I'm viewing it from this space, but like when he would ask those questions, I had such low expectations for the answers. I was like really, I'm telling you, waiting for Matt to say that like she probably can work through it, like I'm gonna love her forever. Like I was waiting for them to like get back together on the TV, and I was so thrilled.
I agree. I think the accountability part is still what I'm shocked about. I'm shocked. I am definitely shocked by the ending. Like just the end.
Me too.
Like the way it ended, I was like, oh, because I just know there's so much more. There's so much more footage we didn't see. Because, I mean, there were moments where they would cut after, like, Rachel's answer or Matt's answer or even Michelle, you know, they would cut to, like, get to the next question. But you could tell it was a hard cut, that there was more to be said, that they just cut that, they needed their quick answer, cut, next. Like, and I don't know, I just think that this was something that could have been given more room to breathe, conversation-wise. It was, you know what I mean? Those moments, when you, because that's the beauty of conversations like this, is having those moments of, like, of fleshing it out, of trying to connect it, like something that would be perceived maybe as rambling, but not, you know, processing.
Well, so we get, when it starts off, we get Michelle coming out.
Yes.
Immediately, like no fucks given, like really no time wasted. Like Michelle.
What did you think about the Rachel Lindsay, Chris Harrison interview?
Oh my god!
Boom.
Within like the 10 minutes of the special,
this was also the only reference of the Rachel Lindsay, Chris Harrison interview that we got the entire time. Even, which blows my mind, because Rachel Kirkconnell, the actual subject of the discussion of the interview of Rachel and Chris, was sitting there, and we didn't even get her. We couldn't even get a question of like, what did you think about Chris Harrison invoking your name and defending you?
I wonder if they did, or maybe they. I think that they either did, and cut it out because her answer was shit, or like it sounded really bad.
Yeah.
Or they actively didn't ask because they were scared that she would say something stupid.
Yeah, that was the other thing too.
It's like, how do you respond to that? Like, how did you feel about this guy defending you? And it's like, well, obviously, you don't want to say like you're appreciative of him defending you, but you're like, I appreciate that he would stand up for me, but he shouldn't have. Like, there's no real way for her to like answer that well.
It's just so weird to only have Michelle asked about Chris Harrison and Rachel Lindsay, aka a black woman, and no one else.
True. Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Like, ugh. And but Michelle did. She immediately was like, I did not.
She condemned that shit.
Yeah, she condemned it.
So she felt hurt. She thinks that Rachel has a good heart, but there's definitely lots of learning to do, which I think is the best, like, I don't want to call it a pageant answer, but that's a fence answer. Like, that's definitely, like, Rachel's fine, but, like, she's also wrong, like, which is probably, I don't know.
Well, no, I mean, okay, I really, like, this is what's hard is, going into this, we all kind of expected and knew that it was going to be cleaned up by the producers, and so, and also, let's be real, at this point, Michelle knows she's going to be the Bachelorette, and you can't shake that many tables as the Bachelorette, as a lead in general, and yeah, like, that there's a reason that the people that have shaken the table the most in the conversations about The Bachelor have only been on a single season. Like, I'm thinking, like, as obviously Taylor Nolan is doing what she's doing right now, but I think about, like, her, like Becca Martinez, like all the people who are on these shows who then became notoriously Demi, you know, outspoken, but aren't getting, like, they're obviously not getting these lead positions because they're so outspoken. Like, that's not what the show wants. And Michelle was perfect because she is, obviously will defend Rachel, but okay, but the show could probably be like, you're good to do that, you're both black women. And then there's also Rachel Lindsay, not Rachel Kirkconnell. I literally hate they have the same
No,
name.
it's been a constant struggle.
Like, it's nice to be able to read it because I know if I'm reading the name, it's different because of the AEL and Rachel Kirkconnell's name, but, or Kirkconnell.
I don't care, to be completely frank. No, I just don't, I'm not going to put in the effort to learn her name properly.
And then, but Michelle has, like, no Instagram presence. I mean, she does now, but she had none just before the show. She's so blank slate when it comes to other stuff that I feel like the show was able to be like, yep, snatched.
Which I don't know why she wouldn't have been an immediate, maybe she was, maybe that whole convoluted story about her students and not wanting to see, whatever, is true. But that she's a clean slate. You can make her into whatever you want her to be, which is fucked up, and it shouldn't be done, but that's what this show does. So why would they not think that this is, like, the perfect, malleable lead for us, who also ticks our diversity box? Like, I don't understand.
Everybody loves her. No, it just makes no sense for me to have two Bachelorettes, because you can't pick one. Whatever. So, Michelle is doing her thing, and then it gets her Matt closure.
Asks her, are you ready for, or do you think you need closure for Matt? And then he's like, well, we're gonna bring him out right now.
Snowy?
I fucking hope not. Michelle and Matt basically talk about the fact that she wanted to talk to him and no one would let her.
And he's like, wow, if I would have known that you needed to talk to me so badly, I would have talked to you. And it's like literally, oh, hey, producers, let these people talk like humans.
He said he would have fought for it, and then simultaneously was the one who left the room.
Yeah.
He was in her space. Like, if they wanted to talk, they probably could have.
A mess.
But I also think there was really not much to talk about.
Oh, yeah, you made them think they're getting treats.
That's really all there was for that. Because we get more with her when she...
Yeah, Michelle comes back.
And then Rachel
comes out first. Oh, no, it's Matt first. It's Matt and Emmanuel talking on their own. And Emmanuel makes the meeting. He's like, he starts kind of, it's the classic, like, explaining. He's like, all right, time to explain to the white audience. He's like, so, as athletes, you and I have something in common together, speaking, that other people wouldn't. As black men, we also have something in common.
They dumb it down.
Yes. God, it was literally spoon-feeding anti-racism to white people. It was, and that's why I'm like, that's why for us, people who have been, like, again, actively working on anti-racist practice in our own shit and learning all these other things and reading and doing all this stuff, it was like watching anti-racism for kindergartners in the social justice world. Like, that's what we should be bare minimum teaching people, that, like, if you don't understand what it's like to be black, it might be hard to date you in this climate, Rachel.
Well, and then that's what Matt talks about.
Exactly.
And that's, like, the whole running theme of it, is that she will never understand what it's like for him to be black, no matter how much education she does. She can be as empathetic as a person can be at some point in her life, but she will never truly, like, understand what it means.
Yeah.
No matter, we'll never know what it means, no matter how much anti-racist work we'll put in. Like, we'll never know what it's like to be a black person in America.
100%.
And the fact, it bothered me that he tried to explain that to her, and then she came back and like basically said, but I do get it.
You can read as much as you want, you can try as hard, but you will never live in the shoes of a black person, Rachel. And
she wouldn't stop touching him.
When he came out, she was like, she did the whole like rubbing his shoulder to get him to talk, and I remember she tried to scoot closer to him when they sat down.
She did a handhold too.
And he held her hand too, but he did the classic man handhold when he wants to support her, but he doesn't want to, but look, like, let me show you, because he does this where she has her hand like this, and he just goes, and he does the like grasp. Yeah, it's not like let me hold your hand and rub it. It was like I'm gonna hold your hand and we're gonna talk it out. It's like he was trying to be like, look girl, I know that this is hard, but also I can't date you. Like, and she was, so Nick, and this is also something too, Rachel, like, so I have a black male ex as a white woman, and you have conversations about race in the relationship, whether you fucking like it or not. So if she's out here sitting here pretending like they're not going to have any issue come up where it's obvious that like she is white and he is black, then she's fucking delusional. Like, even if it wasn't on screen, this conversation would have come up if they're dating. Like, she...
At some point.
Right. Like, there was no way she was going to avoid any of this. And so the fact that she was trying to get Matt back. And also she was saying all the right things to Emmanuel. Every single answer she had was coached. Even the first answer, what? Oh, she's been coached, yeah. Even the first answer when he's basically like, well, Rachel, how's it going? Like, basically when she sits down, she immediately is like, well, I can't play the victim, and I don't get to be the...
She's like, it's a loaded question, because she can't say that she's good, but she also can't say that she's bad.
Yeah, it is a loaded question, but she immediately says what she should say, but it's just like hearing it, again, sounds so coach. She's like, well, I'm not able to play, like, I'm not the victim in this. And it's like, good. Her Pisces moon, good. Thank you, Pisces moon, for taking accountability and not being victimizing yourself, because that's the Pisces MO. But it is a weird thing for her to be like, well, I'm nothing, because, like, I think in that moment she's allowed to have some feelings. She could just be like, it's been really tough. Like, duh, it has been.
No, but how fucking manipulative, Shannon. Like, how sitting there being like, I can't even, like,
I can't say I'm a victim, so I'm not going to be a victim.
So even if I feel upset, I'm not allowed to say it, so I won't say it, because, like, people would crucify me if I said it.
Yeah, and when
But I still feel it.
And he jumps in and asks, what was it? Hang on, I'm going to open my laptop. Oh, this is when Emmanuel is trying to give it to her with the, like, you did something that was racially insensitive, but that racially insensitive action doesn't necessarily mean you're a racist. And there's a difference between racial insensitivity to actual racial hate crimes and harm. And so he's kind of trying to lay that stuff out, which, again, I feel like some of this stuff is trying to be like, it's okay, Rachel, like, it's okay. And what you did doesn't mean you're a racist. It just means you were racially insensitive.
Yes.
And he asks, like, what took her so long to apologize, and she's like, well, I really wanted to reflect. And in my mind, I'm like, well, the producers didn't let her. She said
I don't think that's true.
Really?
I don't think that it was the producers. I think that whoever the fuck coached her for this was the same person that said, like, don't respond right away, take time to, like, really understand what you're about to say, or at least, like, because people do, I don't want to give credit to, like, the people that support Rachel, but there were people that had a point where it's like people were calling for Rachel to respond right away. 6 weeks is a long time, don't get me wrong. 6 weeks is far too long.
Yeah.
But I have a point about that too, because all they talked about was these fucking pictures, and they didn't mention a single other allegation, which that
all these other things, like, there was
like 6 weeks from the first allegation, but, like, that's not what they're talking about. So, like,
they're talking about the party only, the Southern party.
In the realm of just the pictures, like, just what they're focusing on, she responded, like, within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So what we know that it was 6 because there was other shit, and, like, she was probably, like I said, being coached by somebody to say, like, maybe take some time.
Maybe
because we all
don't.
saw
Yeah.
how it went down when not citing what happened.
Or
with
as
Taylor,
Matt said,
but-
it's just rumors.
Well, I mean, shit. That's what he said. He said that when it's him by himself, he's like, I brushed them off as rumors. They weren't true.
While we were together, because so he's learning about, obviously he's learning about these as the show's airing and they're together. And they basically, from what it sounded like, they didn't actually break up until the week of the statement palooza, as I say. The week of all the statements.
Yeah, then they broke up after it.
Yeah, because he said that after the apology was when he, wasn't sure. He was like, she has to do the work by herself, basically.
And I would like to think, and maybe I'm giving him more credit than I should, but I would like to think that Matt saw that video and saw the same shit that we saw and was like, that's probably not.
Yeah. And another thing that...
Not 100%.
Yeah. And another thing, too, is that he asks, like, well, what are you doing, Rachel? Emmanuel asks Rachel, like, what are you doing to learn? And she's like, well, I can't sit here and list all of my educational, like, I'm not going to just sit here and list everything I'm doing, but I'm, like, reading, like, she kind of does the whole, it's not like, it's not, I'm making it sound a little more defensive than it is.
No,
she's definitely
literally
very,
sat there and said, I could give you a list of, like, the things I'm doing and the things that I'm reading, but, like, and was a bit starting to say, like, I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
But then didn't say anything at all.
Yeah. And then he asks about the photos, and she says, this was the one answer where I was like, thank you. She goes, honestly, at the time, I wasn't even thinking about it. It was just photos with my friends that I was posting, and I liked our outfits.
And while that's stupid, that is the right answer.
Yes.
That is the
Well, and it also felt like the most actual, honest answer of all of this.
No,
like,
it's probably totally
finally,
true.
she's actually saying, literally, I wasn't thinking about it because I didn't know. Which is like, and then Matt later is like, if you didn't know in 2018 what that meant and how bad that was, then you're not going to know what I'm doing in 2021 and not going to get it. Like,
exactly.
And that's the fucking thing that Chris Harrison fumbled, is like, he's sitting here like, oh, well, it was only 22. No, it's bad then. And she didn't realize it was bad then, and she's still maybe barely figuring out that it's bad now. She should not date a black man. Like, that's just literally not that's not the trajectory you go to. But no, she decided to say that she told Matt that she wanted to be on the show. So she's like, I signed up for you. You were the one I wanted to be with. You were the one that I could picture my fantasy with, essentially. This Pisces moon, this Libra. She's just so... God, she's so... What did I scream? There was one point I screamed with Libra where she goes, I literally cannot imagine living my life without you.
No,
like,
it was
the other half.
Yeah,
she's like, I found this other half. And this was, I think, on the proposal part, yeah. Where she's like, I found my other half. And I'm like, okay, Libra.
Yeah.
Libras, like, you don't need to find your other half in another person. You can find balance within yourself. I promise. And still love another person. It's not to say you shouldn't date. I'm just like... So, anyway. But, let's see. She said she was blindsided by the call. Matt called her to break up. And what's funny is she said she was blindsided by the call and that Matt was so shocked that Matt was breaking up with her. She said their relationship was so strong that he must have really been that hurt, because our relationship is so strong that this must have been such a big deal to hurt him. And I'm like, girl, how is your relationship is not stronger than racism, than like the racism that you've perpetuated and that Matt has endured. Like,
it's a really
not
weird
stronger than that.
of hubris.
Yeah.
And it was
like, we were so strong together, and this was the only thing that could break us. Nothing else could have broken us except for literal racism. Which I'm like, that's a lot of pressure on that relationship.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what the outcome is. And so she says she loves him so much, always will, knows what real love is like now, and that she's not ready. Oh yeah, this was I'm reading off of her manual. She was not ready to see him, but when they did, yeah, they hugged and whatever. But she did a lot of the, like, it really was really sorry, but then she goes, there was the part where she's like, it must have been so hard for you to, like, leave me, basically.
That's what I mean, like, this hubris was,
This
like,
Leo
really
Venus of
awkward.
hers, the Leo Venus of hers is so loud. She's like, I'm so amazing, but it really must have been this hard for you to leave me. Like, wow. But that's, like, yeah, all the touching was so annoying. Stop touching him. But Matt essentially, yeah, he was like, you don't understand what it's like to be black, and I can't date someone who doesn't even a little bit get some part of it. Like, if you're just now unlearning shit right now, this is not the moment
not
for
ready
us.
for me.
Yeah, like
It's like that fucking moment with Kim Kardashian and Kanye at the Met where he's like, just because you're on this journey right now does not mean that like I'm on this journey with you.
Yeah. It's true.
So
Journey, Bachelor.
Matt James is like, I am currently being radicalized by this, and if you cannot keep up with me, then like you are not on this journey with me.
This whole situation has, first of all, Matt has never, it's clear watching this, Matt has never had this deep of a conversation about race, which is weird. You would, I don't know. It's not, maybe he has had, obviously he's had conversations about race, but the way that he was talking about it, when he said, there was one moment, remember he said, I wanted to call you in. I was like, ooh. No, that was the first time he's ever used that phrase. Like, it was just like he was baby social justice warrior boy, like saying all of the things, and I was like, oh, Matt, like you've come so far from laughing about body shaming.
No, he was saying that he hopes that people moving forward, when like as Rachel is learning, he's hoping that like the people that are criticizing her aren't just being like mean, but they're like calling her to action. Like this is how you can be better. Not him. He's not calling her in.
Yeah.
He's saying like I hope the people that are talking like, so much.
It's been real. It's been fun. Bye. Like.
I mean, basically.
Yeah, but he was very much like baby social justice boy, figuring out all the right words to say, hence why he will be radicalized after this and at least thinking more about it. Like, I really don't think, like, I think that, I mean, he grew up and surrounded by so much whiteness, you know, like he's in sports, he's got the white mom, and he's in he's in Carolina, he's like all this stuff that is so adjacent to whiteness that it's like, I feel like his mom seems like the kind of woman who was like, colorblind, like it's fine, like we don't have to talk about race. And so I feel like he's obviously has to talk about it, but it's like, again, back to even the black father trope, like he lives all this stuff, so it's like I feel like this show had him confronting it, which makes sense. Saturn return, his Saturn return is right now, and Saturn Aquarius, like he's got to confront the way that he fits into his community. And I think that maybe for the longest, oh my god, this is actually such a wild option as a delineation. Oh my god, knowing another black Saturn Aquarius man in my brain too, as an actual person, I really know him, makes sense. So it's like, okay, Aquarius is often a sign that's like associated with groups, but also associated with being a loner, because usually when an Aquarius is in a group, they feel like the outsider. But then they leave the group and they're alone and they crave community. So it's this weird push-pull that Aquarius has. You, me, we all have Aquarius Saturn, right? So, and Matt too, with this Aquarius Saturn, it's very possible that like he is this black man living in white spaces. He is a person who creates a community. So he's in his sports, he's in his church, community, right? He's got this stuff, but he's feeling the odd one out because he's the black dude. We're raised by the white mom. Like he's got this awkward, different background. And then you take him out of the white people, and now as a black man, he's like weirdly behind, like he can't, like this conversation about race seemed more uncomfortable for him than it would have maybe Mike Johnson, right? Like I'm thinking about the blackness. He doesn't have, the Aquarius, it does make sense. He's the odd one out when he leaves the white spaces. But when he's in the white spaces, he's not totally comfortable either. And that Aquarius Saturn, he's now publicly in front of all this community, having to reckon with this responsibility of learning like what to do. And that's what a Saturn return is all about, is like coming to terms with these things that we have to take responsibility for that have been happening for the last 30 years of our life.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that being said, all convoluted, I think that Matt's Aquarius Saturn is making a lot of sense to me, and that his Saturn return right now is a big moment of figuring out where he fits in his community. And we shall see if he starts hanging around more black people, starts maybe dating black women, and because he was, you know, most of his friends are white. Prior to the show, most of his friends were white. He dated white girls, like all that stuff. So anyway,
we rewatched last night that conversation he had with Chris Harrison, in which he basically says that he's going to pick a white girl. So that's fresh in our brains.
Yeah,
it was telling. Yeah, it was definitely clear.
And I think, and what's wild is watching that conversation with Chris Harrison between watching the conversation with Emmanuel Acha was like night and day. Like it's like he, again, radicalized. He is radicalized. So
No, I mean, that's really all I have for it. Emmanuel asks, there's that, like, really haunting moment of silence where, like, Matt really just doesn't say anything and they play no music. And it's, like, exactly the discomfort that they were aiming for. Like,
yes.
It was great.
And, oh, wait for it. The part where Emmanuel goes, Rachel, you may never speak to this man again.
One final embrace. He said the phrase,
would you like to have one final embrace?
And then they don't.
And then they sit there. And that's, okay, this is where the ending got weird, right? So there's like no, so basically she's like, I thank God for bringing me to you anyway. She gives her last ditch effort. He basically is like, I cannot be emotionally, oh my God, when he said the most sad moon thing ever, he basically told her, like, I cannot be emotionally responsible for you learning about anti-racism. And he was like, I did not want to have to deal with, that was what he said about the apology. He was like, I can't be emotionally responsible for this. That Sagittarius moon was like, no, I'm not doing this. But he says that he's not going to be with her, basically. I don't know if I'll ever not know to hear those things. Oh yeah. Yeah, one final embrace. He goes, I don't know if it will ever hurt to not hear those things. I had the weirdest convoluted quote because I don't think he even said real words at that moment. But it says, my quote exactly is, I don't know if it will ever not know to hear those things. Long pause in silence, and then Emmanuel's like, well, thank y'all both for being here. I don't agree with cancel culture, but I do agree with accountability. Good luck to both of you on your future journeys. And then they just stare at each other on the couch as the camera pans out and it cuts to commercial, and then we see nothing of them again. Poof.
But then we get our Bachelorette.
×2!
That was fun.
Emmanuel has like, so he basically tries to play it up as, let's see the options. And then Michelle and Katie walk out, and then they're like, unison, they go, we're both the Bachelorette. And it's just like, so fucking lackluster. And also so awkward.
I didn't like Katie's. Katie had weird fucking energy.
And she was like definitely really excited, and I think she's glad that she gets to go first. But it's just like, I think she's also maybe annoyed that like this had to happen like two at once. But also she just had weird energy. Like you could tell she was really excited to just talk on the stage.
She was like racing to the stage. She was like hyped up.
She was so like sitting up front. Yeah. She was in her hot pink little suit. But yeah. Anyway, they're both going to be the Bachelorette, and so Katie is going to film the normal schedule. Is going to film probably in the next week or so.
I think yeah, they said week and a half they start filming.
And then Michelle is going to film over the summer because she doesn't want to leave her students, which is so for the right reasons. It's painful. So that means she will be filming over the summer simultaneously as Bachelor in Paradise, I'm assuming, if we're doing a Bachelor in Paradise.
I think that Bachelor in Paradise is set to film before Michelle starts filming. Yeah. And will air while Michelle is filming, and then we'll get Michelle's after everything. Well,
so we'll get Bachelor in Paradise, and then Michelle, and then Bachelor. Jeez. So I guess they're picking a Bachelor pretty much automatically from Katie's season? In theory?
I mean, we won't get a Bachelor until after Michelle, so they could pick from Michelle.
Oh, that's right. They could. That's right. Wow. So the pool of Bachelor men is going to be larger.
So huge. Damn. And then also Tyler Cameron.
If Tyler Cameron's the Bachelor, I will be fucking pissed. I don't want it.
I would go crazy.
But
crazier.
I don't want it.
But that's it for this season. It's a wrap.
Season 25, first Black Bachelor ever. What a goddamn letdown at the end, but glad to have seen Matt's love stories on TV. Glad to see all of the other amazing Black women and women of color on the season.
Yeah, I'm glad that we like got to know Matt a little bit, or at least we've like been presented with this version of Matt. I'm happy about that, and then I'm happy about all of the women that we were introduced to.
Yeah, all the women this season. I mean, not
all.
Not all of them. I mean, they all seem to be, thanks to Instagram, they all seem to be made up. All of them are cool with each other. And all posting with each other and commenting, like Victoria even gets comments on from women like, oh my god, gorgeous, like that kind of thing. So everyone seems to have patched their shit up, but still, you know, we still have our own bad tastes in our mouth from certain people. But ultimately, the women of the season were pretty solid all around, and wonderful, different, diverse was great. So love to see it. And I'm very excited, selfishly, that our next Bachelorette, I have her full chart with her rising sign.
Totally confirmed.
Like, she's given it to me directly, and what I can do now with that information is, so since this season we've been guessing Matt's rising sign and moon sign, which at this point my solid guess is Sag rising, and maybe at this point, I don't know, Cancer.
I'm saying Cancer rising.
Cancer rising. It seems pretty real. Plus, if he's a Cancer rising, his mom's son on midheaven, and she's with him in, oh my god, actually this makes a lot of sense. So, that's that on that. But we had to guess Matt, but with Katie, we'll just be able to say, well, we know it, and I'll be able to see with the men and their charts, I'll be able to put their charts onto Katie's chart and be like, oh, so that stuff falls into this house. So we'll get to learn about houses a lot next season. I hope everybody's excited about that. And let's see, in the off season,
we've got things planned.
Yeah, we're thinking.
Things planned.
And a few of the things just to get you all excited. We're definitely going to talk about the show's chart. So everything has a little astrological chart, including the birth of anything, institutions, books, movies. Like, there is a chart of the moment for when it started. That being said, the premiere of The Bachelor and the premiere of The Bachelorette are the moments, the birthdays of the show, as what we see publicly. So that being said, they both have charts. They have birth charts. And The Bachelor, I've briefly talked about The Bachelor chart a little bit. I've talked about it on the stories sometimes, but that'll be fun. So we got that. We've got we want to do some like recaps of older seasons that we can watch online right now, and like kind of talk about charts and ask astrology from there.
Our own little like goat style episode.
Yes, we want to also, yeah, definitely. I want to just do an episode where we straight up just talk about our favorite Bachelor people and do the astrology of them, because it would be so fun. I want to look at Mike Johnson's chart. Capricorn King. But anyway, and we could talk about the GOAT, like the WOT, the worst of all time. We could do the charts of some of the like, I kind of would love to do a Luke P look up on the chart, because woo, that Aries man is so, he and Chad Johnson both being Aries, like, makes all the sense. Actually, he might be a Pisces. No, he's an Aries sun, Pisces moon. I remember, because I was very offended that I shared a moon sign with him. But I see it. I understand why he's a Pisces moon. I do. But anyway, love y'all. Thanks for listening to us this season. Hope y'all learned something. Hope you guys are excited about the next season. And we're going to start stalking Katie's men as soon as possible.
We already started.
We've started. They've been releasing a few of them, and we've already started. Speaking of one of my exes, he knows one of the men that has already been revealed to be on her season. So, I'm going to be asking him all about that. Because I want to know. Oh, and we, another ex-player from Colton's season, I won't name her yet until it happens, but is in our DMs about hanging out with us, because she wants friends. She just moved to New York, so we might get to, oh, it's fine. They're all moving to New York. They're all moving to New York.
Players from Colton's season might give it away.
Well, it's okay. If you know, you know, and if you don't know, you don't know.
Alright, merch.
Anyway, but I'm hyped. It's cool. It's cool to think that, like, we'd actually might get to meet, like, an ex-player and be able to just be like, so, like, what the fuck is up with that show? Like, I just want to, I'm ready to understand this process, right? Anyway, it's exciting. It's exciting. Plus, like, fuck, we're fire signs, Gemini risings. We love friends. I want to make new friends anyway, all the time.
Be my friend.
Literally, like, it doesn't matter that you were on a show. I've met literally, I've already made a friend from someone who I watched on a reality show on MTV, and then I made friends with her separately later, and then I told her, Paige from Are You the One?
Oh, yeah, we talked about
MTV. So Come One, Come All, the queer season of Are You the One. I met Paige. Paige, if you're listening to this, which she definitely probably is not, but love you, Paige. Shout out. Paige is fucking dope. So if any of you watch that show, Are You the One? that season and you saw her, she was on the show, but she like got one of the like lesser edits. Like she was less in the like drama.
Under the radar.
Right. So she was definitely like a sleeper on the show, but she was so fucking cool. Great in her life. So that being said, I have met people who've been on TV and been like, you're fucking cool, like friends. Anyway. Love it.
So if you want to follow us at all of our socials, they're the same as they always are.
Do the roses align. Yay! Oh, it's so fun to jinx like in person. And we'll be able to record. I bet in the off season we'll be able to record like this more often.
Yeah, so we'll say this now for anyone in case you have any beef about us recording together. We've both been vaccinated at this point, and the CDC says that it's safe for us to gather without masks on, given the fact that we've been isolating otherwise.
Yep, we are safety first up in here, vaccinated queens, and New York City. If anybody, literally, also side note, if you are listening to us and you are in New York City and you want help or any info on getting vaccinated, literally DM me, DM us. That's something I will talk about, because I have already been telling all my friends, like, this is how you do it. Like, you can just, so.
Yeah, we literally had to cut out the audio because we were recording when I told you how to do it.
We were recording, and I actively was signing up for my fucking vaccination a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, we were like sitting there on the website. I'm like, yeah, and then I went to this, and then you had to go. Yeah. Anyway.
All right,
it's been real, guys.
It's been fun, and Matt James, I wish a very happy relationship onto you. Not with Rachel Kirkconnell, with someone who understands.
And if you want to grab a drink so I can ask you about your birth time.
Yes, John, if you're listening to this, please DM me back. This is all for good of my heart that I want to know his rising sign. I will not roast. And if I roast, it will be lovingly.
I'm going to find it.
We will find it. All right, y'all. See you next time.